Hi, fifth grade. Nice to see you. We are back again with our alien landscapes. Hopefully, by now, you have had a chance to draw your land, draw your sky, and marker your foreground. If you have not yet markered your foreground, that's okay. You can always come back to that part later. However, what we are going to work on today is the sky. Normally, when a person paints or creates a work of art, we work from the background to the foreground. We did this one in reverse because we didn't have much time last week after our quiz, and I knew that you would all be able to accomplish this markering pretty quickly. So, that's the only reason we did our foreground first, was time. Okay, so we're going to step back again and we're going to go back in the proper order this time and we're going to work on that sky. Okay, but before we jump into this one, I want you to do a couple of practice things for me. So what I'm going to do is flip this page over to the next clean page in my sketchbook. Your landscape will be fine. But on this page, I'm going to trace 2 circles with pencil. Okay, they can be big, they can be small, doesn't much matter. Okay, but 2 circles. We're not going to work on these practice circles for particularly long, but I do want you to get used to how to use oil pastels in these 2 areas and still have it appear round. Okay, so these circles, as I'm sure you can imagine, are going to be like the planets that you put in the sky of your alien landscape. For these pictures, for these planets, you are going to be wanting to use your oil pastels. Whatever colors you have, whatever set you have, this is the material that I would like you to use for your planets. For these 2 practice planets, I want you to pick out 3 colors for each planet. And I don't care what kind of colors you pick. Okay, but I want one of them to be white. And the other 2 are completely up to you. Me, I'm going to choose this purpley color and this teal color. Just 'cause. Okay. The reason we're doing this twice is because I want you to see what happens when you put white on top of oil pastel and white underneath oil pastel. It's not the same. So, on one of these, I'm going to go ahead and label it W on top. And this one I'm going to label W under. Okay? Again, just want you to see what happens. Okay? I'm going to start with my white pastel underneath. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to push down sort of hard, but I'm going to put like a scribble, scrabble, sort of ziggy-zaggy through the middle of this and just leave it there. Okay? It doesn't matter if it goes edge to edge or not. You're going to see what happens in just a minute. Okay? Set that one to the side. We'll get to it. We'll get back to it when we come back over here. Okay, for my little planet, I'm going to start with my lighter color. I'm going to start with blue. You can start with whichever one of your 2 colors you have. And in here, the big thing with planets is that they're round. They're a sphere. They're not a flat circle like a pancake, but they're more like a globe or a ball. And you want them to look round when you are done. So when you color in a planet or anything that you want to look 3D and round, you want to make sure that you color it with a curved line. Now, the surprise is already sort of showing up. You're dark over here and lighter in the middle where my white is. Okay? Oil pastel layers. So, I'm going to go ahead and outline my planet. And I'm going to go back and forth in a curved line. You can go over or you can go under. Doesn't much matter. But the only place that my oil pastel is going to mix and change is where I put that white. If you see, it lightened the color. Okay, it blends in with the white. The color blends in with the white and makes it lighter. Okay. When I go and put my new color on here, ugh, it's dirty. Gotta keep that oil pastel clean. Okay. When I go ahead and put this on here, I'm just going to use it as texture. But this purple does not necessarily show up the greatest. It's just kind of there. And over the white mixes with the purple as well because the white is already in this blue and it's going to lighten the purple. Even if I go over it a lot, it's still going to be lighter. Okay, any kind of detail and lines on my planet, I'm going to make curved. If I really wanted to, I could add a lot more of my darker color on this side and make it lighter as it goes across. Okay, this is what happens when you add white underneath a planet. It kind of looks like it's glowing, and it's sort of nice. It also helps make it look round. You might want to use that on one of the planets in your sky. Okay, on this side we're going to do white on top. I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to take my planet. I'm going to outline it in blue. This time I've got a little bit more room than the other planet, so I'm going to like put some purple in beforehand. And then I'm going to fill in with my blue. And by doing it this way, the colors will mix less and both of your colors are guaranteed to be bright. Either way that you attempt it, either layering fully or doing it sort of side by side with this, is acceptable. This one is easier to do when you have more room. But you still want to color in those curved lines, even though you're going around the purple or whatever color you have. You want to curve the lines, and it's going to help. However, this planet looks pretty flat, right? And this one looks pretty 3D. The difference is the white. So now I'm going to take my white and I'm going to add it on top of this planet. Wherever I add the white, the colors are going to mix. And it's going to kind of blend it out. It also makes it look a little dirty, because literally what this white is doing is pushing the color around. You'll get these like big globs of color that get picked up off of, they're like pushed off of where they were sitting here and put onto my white. And that's normal. You just wipe them off and keep going. Now, if I really wanted to, I could keep going over a spot with white, with white, with white, with white, with white, and I could use a ton of it, and it would get fairly white. You're going to end up with a lot of scuzzies because you've just scraped all of those other colors off your page and left white there, but it is an option. Now, is that an okay thing to do if you've, say, made a mistake and you don't like it in oil pastel? No, not really. And I'll explain why. Okay, basically, wherever you put the oil pastel, because we are painting, okay, wherever you put the oil pastel are going to shine through the paint. So this just gave this planet a very painterly look. Let's see if I can make this look less like a big white spot. Okay. This one looks more painterly. It looks a little bit more 3D. Not as nice as that, but still pretty good. Again, clean it off. Ah, my oil pastel. Blast, it just broke. Yeah. Oh well, keep all the pieces. Okay, now comes for watercolor. Most of the time when I tell my kids to watercolor the sky, they will, or watercolor outer space, they will pick one color and paint the whole thing that one color. That is not what I want you to do. Unfortunately, that one color that most kids pick is black. Okay? Black is a color that you are not allowed to use in this picture. Not yet, anyway. We can add some black to outer space later if we need to, but it is not necessary. Okay? Outer space is not, I mean, it's pretty dark. Don't get me wrong. Outer space is pretty dark. But you do not want a black outer space. Okay? Instead, what we're going to do is mix and make a really stunning outer space. Oh. So I'm going to start by grabbing some blue. I've already used it today because the 6th grade's painting too. But I'm going to grab some blue and I'm going to stick it in the cap of my paint tray. If you don't want to do this because the messiness bothers you, you could also use something like a paper plate. If you've got some wax paper in your kitchen, this would work for that too. Okay, put some paint on there. Then I'm going to do the same thing with purple. I'm going to put some purple on here. They're already kind of mixing together and doing amazing things. Now, the next part is the most fun part. I'm going to literally take water. Now, my water is really gross right now, which is good, so you can see it. Okay, you would want to do this with clear water. But all I'm doing is I'm going to, wherever I want the outer space, I'm going to make wet with water. Okay, just plain water. If you get water on your planet, it's not a big deal. Oil and water don't mix. So the planet, the oil-based planet, will push the water away. And that's okay. Now I'm going to come over here, add some water over here, and I'm going to dot my outer space. And if you see, when I dot, the color kind of explodes out. Now it's not super duper dark, and some of you are probably like, Miss Downick, that's not what outer space looks like. Not yet. Getting some purple. I think I need some more purple pigment. Now you gotta kind of do this fast because the water that is on the paper will dry. Okay, but that kind of marbled effect is what you want for your outer space. You notice there is nothing really on the planet. There's a little bit of this like spotting happening, but if you don't like that, you can just go in there with a paper towel and pick it right up. As long as it's wet, it'll pick right up. Don't wait too long. Okay. Now, some of you are like, well, wait, I wanted stars in my sky. Okay. That's where, ooh, sad. Fix that later. But that's where your oil pastels come in. Man, I'll use green just because. Okay, I got this seafoam green. I'm so ashamed I just threw my threw my oil pastel. Don't do that. Treat your stuff nicer. Okay. What I would do is this. I would take an oil pastel of some color, whatever color you want to be your stars, and I would just dot it around. You can't do it on the sky itself until after this is dried. So you gotta wait for that. Okay? And I'll do it with this. Most of you probably want this with white, because white will look most like stars. but the green here lets us see it. Okay, so again, I'm gonna take my water, my random gross dirty water. Ooh, you can see it even more now. And I'm gonna go over all this area. Again, this is practice. While it's still wet, grab some thinned out color, whether it's blue or purple. And you're just gonna dot all over the place. Wherever that sky is. Okay, to make your outer space. If you thin out your colors, they'll be lighter like this. If you do it more straight out of the pans, which for outer space is okay, you'll get a darker color like this. Now, from doing this, from putting all this water onto the paper, it's going to pool up a bit. So I can't actually show you what it looks like on mine right now. I can't do it for you, but I have one that I did in years previous. Look familiar? Okay. All of my planets I colored with oil pastel. These little teeny tiny guys, I just made a solid color, and that's okay. This big old planet, I did white on top, and this little guy, I did white underneath. All the planets are oil pastel, and then I did just what you saw me do on this practice page with this guy, dotting blue and purple together. As it dries, you'll be able to tell more so what it's going to look like. Okay? Just do this much today. Just do your planets and your sky, your 2 practice ones, and then your final copy. Okay? When you're all done, please send me a picture of both. I want to see both. So you're going to put your practice copy to one side, your final copy to the other side, take the picture, turn it in. Okay? If your final one is in your book, you're going to take 2 pictures. Take a picture of this one, take a picture of that one. Remember, you have a whole week to do it. Don't try to, like if I flipped this back over right now, all of this beautiful wet paint would bleed through onto my picture and ruin it. So if this thing needs to dry, let it dry. Come back to it later. What's the harm? You get to paint more again, right? Let this whole thing dry and then do this one. All right? Good luck, and I will see you next week. Thank you for always working so hard. Bye.